everybody is saying that Boris Johnson is the overwhelming favourite to win the post of Conservative Party leader. How's he viewed here in Germany?
Well, he certainly has been portrayed, at least in the media, as somewhat of a caricature. A lot of headlines today along the lines of, "Are you ready for Boris?" And I think this says a lot, the fact that he, in media across Europe, not just here in Germany and also back in the UK, is often referred to as his first name. There's this kind of colloquial jargon when a lot of the media and even politicians talk about Boris Johnson. But of course, Germany moving forward, and from the political angle, there is one topic on the top of Germany's agenda right now when it comes to the UK, and that, of course, is Brexit. And so they will be making sure that there will be some cooperation, at least from this new administration, which, as we hear, is most likely to be led by Boris Johnson. But, of course, there will be quite some trepidation here towards this upcoming result here in Germany today. Of course, Boris Johnson has said that he is willing to pull the UK out of the EU come the 31st of October without a deal, which of course could have huge economic repercussions, and certainly here in Germany as well. And that is something that from day one, since that Brexit referendum back in 2016, Germany has said that it is very much in favour of avoiding a no-deal Brexit at all costs.
Right, and I think, let me just draw in our correspondent in London, Charlotte Potts. Now, Charlotte, tell us, now this has been a really long, drawn-out process. Remind our viewers, how is a Conservative Party leader chosen?
Yeah, well, it is a complicated process. You would think that a new prime minister is just being appointed when the old one resigns, but that is not the case. What we've seen over the past weeks since Theresa May's resignation in May is that, first of all, there were a number of candidates, around 16, that were running. Then they were voted down by MPs one by one, and in the end, two candidates remained. Those were Jeremy Hunt, the current foreign minister, and Boris Johnson, the former foreign minister. So those two went through a series of debates, and 2.5 weeks ago then the Conservative members, 160,000 to be exact, started to vote via paper ballot that was sent into the Conservative Party headquarters up until 2 days ago. And then yesterday, since yesterday, those votes have been counted, and we're expecting the results to come out momentarily, that announcement of who will be the next Conservative leader. And of course, with that, then tomorrow will be appointed the new prime minister here in the United Kingdom.
Right. In fact, Charlotte, we are looking at live pictures coming off Queen Elizabeth Hall. That's where the result is going to be announced. And we've been seeing a lot of people are waiting there anxiously to hear which of the two contenders are likely to become prime minister. But quite clearly, in the lead up to this result, everyone has said Boris Johnson is the clear favourite. What makes him the clear favourite in this ballot?
Well, as I said, it's the Tory membership that is voting for him. And the Tory membership has one topic on their mind, and that is Brexit at the moment. They have seen this Brexit process drag out over 3 years since the referendum in June 2016. And they have been hoping that the UK would be out of the European Union at this point. That is, of course, not the case. The next deadline to leave is October 31st. And so Boris Johnson has promised them time and time again, and very credible also, that he would be the one that gets the UK out of the European Union by October 31st. Do or die, he says, come what may. So he will go back to Brussels. That is his plan, to renegotiate that withdrawal agreement, so that kind of divorce bill that dictates the terms under which the UK leaves the European Union. If Brussels says we're not renegotiating, or he does not get a better deal, then he has promised those Conservative members that now voted for him that he will leave the European Union without a deal, which Kate mentioned could have catastrophic consequences for the European Union, but of course also especially for the United Kingdom. But people don't mind that anymore. Not people, but the Conservative membership base, they don't mind that anymore, because they say it's better to leave with a no deal, under a no deal scenario, than just having this process dragged out. And just quickly, the rival in the leadership race, Jeremy Hunt, the current foreign minister, he has not been as credible on this issue of Brexit, because he voted 3 years ago in that referendum that he wanted to remain in the European Union. So that is why we are expecting Boris Johnson to be the next leader of the Conservative Party, because this issue has been dominating the agenda so much.
Absolutely. Whenever anyone talks about Britain at the moment, any leader of the Conservative Party, the next Prime Minister, it's all about Brexit. As Kate was mentioning out here as well, that it's all about Brexit. Now, we are looking at the possibility that Boris Johnson may be the next Prime Minister of the UK, and he has said categorically he's prepared to leave the European Union without a deal. Is this viewed as a genuine ideological position, or is it a negotiating tactic in the hope that he might get a better deal from the European Union?
Well, of course, this was also rhetoric in the campaign. He needed to say that, as I mentioned, to win over the Conservative members. And we really don't know what kind of Boris Johnson will be the next Prime Minister. Will it be the more extreme Boris? Will it be the more pragmatic one that we'll see and that goes to Brussels to renegotiate that deal? It is very hard to say. It also depends on what kind of advisors he will get in and what his cabinet might look like. We're expecting after this announcement at some point tonight and then in the course of the day tomorrow that Boris Johnson will make major cabinet announcements on who he will be working closely with. And it depends. The big question there is, of course, will he choose more pro-Brexiteers that are going to help him get the UK out of the European Union, or will he also get some Remainers on board, those who wanted to stay in the European Union all along? So at the moment we can only speculate if he would really see that no deal through. But what is important to mention is that he will have very, very tough first 100 days in office. 100 days, I'm saying, because that is the deadline of when the UK is leaving the European Union. And already we are hearing a lot of criticism also within the Conservative Party, from within the Conservative Party against Boris Johnson. We've seen a number of resignations because the worry is that he will really see it through, that he makes the UK crash out on October 31st. And of course, there are also many Conservatives who do not want that.
And Charlotte, while you've been talking to us, we are looking at live pictures of Queen Elizabeth Hall. That's where the result is going to be announced. We're looking at people, and we're seeing 3 empty chairs. And of course, I guess those 3 empty chairs of the key people involved in this contest. 2 of them being, of course, Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt. We are seeing some people now walking in, which could be an indication that we might have a result soon. You can see the podium is still empty. The announcement is going to be made by Cheryl Gillian. She's the co-chair of what is called the 1922 Committee, and Charlie Walker. They are the 2 officials who are going to be announcing the result, the contest between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt, who is the current Foreign Minister of Britain. All indications are that this ballot will go in favour of Boris Johnson, a controversial figure, as we've been hearing from Charlotte Potts, and also viewed a bit controversially here in Germany, as we've been hearing from our political correspondent, Kate Brady. Now, we can see people still waiting, looking at their clocks and waiting for that announcement. While we wait, let me put a question to our political correspondent, Kate Brady. Of course, as we were talking, Brexit is the main issue in everybody's mind when one looks at the leadership, the question in Britain. What does Germany expect from a new UK Prime Minister?
I mean, the thing that Germany and the rest of the EU is waiting for right now is some movement forward. Of course, the Brexit debate has been very much at a standstill. That deal that was put on the table by the outgoing UK Prime Minister Theresa May was rejected 3 times, and so they will be waiting now to see exactly how Boris Johnson, who is expected most likely to take over as Prime Minister of the UK, how he actually intends on moving things forward. The EU and Germany, standing with the other EU member states, has said that negotiations negotiations when it comes to this Brexit deal are not to be reopened. And so it'll be interesting now to see exactly what the tactic is going to be from the new UK Prime Minister. But Angela Merkel actually held her summer press conference last week saying that it would that the future relations between the UK and Brussels will very much depend on how the new UK Prime Minister actually engages with the new President of the EU Commission. And of course, that is the former German Defence Minister Ursula von der Leyen, who, interestingly, will be taking over that post as the President of the EU Commission on the 1st of November, so the day after the UK is set to leave the European Union. But interestingly, von der Leyen has said that she is willing to extend the Brexit deadline again if need be. But of course, as I mentioned, she will be coming into that post as the President of the EU Commission after the current deadline. But as we've seen before, the UK has already missed a couple of deadlines. We were waiting for a good couple of years for March 29th. That passed us by. Will that happen again on October 31st? That certainly seems to be the hope among a lot of politicians here in Germany, that they want to see the best deal possible for the EU, for Germany. But of course, now with the chance of Boris Johnson taking over as UK Prime Minister, that might be less likely.
Okay, Kate, let me just, let's go on and go live. We're seeing these live pictures coming to you from, and we're listening to now, the proceedings have just started there, and we're just hearing the announcement is did. Brendan Lewis is about to speak. Let's take a listen to what he's saying.
A party that is fundamentally strong and united in its common purpose to deliver for prosperity, opportunity, fairness and security for everyone in our United Kingdom. I've been hugely proud as chairman of everyone in our party throughout this election. The voluntary, the parliamentary and professional party working together to deliver a fair and an efficient election. We've held hustings in 16 towns and cities right across the United Kingdom, in every region and in every nation. Our candidates have covered some 3,000 miles, taken over 400 questions and answered hours and hours worth of questions in interviews, culminating in that fantastic event at the ExCeL just last Wednesday. And we have welcomed thousands of our party members and friends and family to hear directly from our candidates. And in a first for a political party, we held an online live hustings open to everyone in our country and indeed beyond. I want to pay tribute to the team at CCHQ in particular for running both the membership ballot and these fantastic hustings. And I also want to thank my parliamentary colleagues for their support through that process. In particular, the members of the 1922 committee, brilliantly led by Charles Walker and Dame Cheryl Gillan, who have been the returning officers throughout this process and have given us such an efficient, professional and effective start and run through this process. And to all of the members of the Conservative Party, thank you. Those members, our friends, our family and our colleagues, have undertaken a solemn duty in choosing our next leader, who will be this country's next Prime Minister. They have engaged constructively, thoughtfully and positively in the process. A chance to choose our leader is a privilege, and I believe our party has risen to that task. And finally, I want to take this opportunity to say a thank you to our current Prime Minister, Theresa May, for her leadership of our party and our country over the last 3 years, something that was never going to be an easy task. And it is now paramount that we come together, that we unite as a party for our country, to deliver in the national interest, to get behind our new leader and our next Prime Minister, to deliver on the result of the referendum and to deliver for the whole of the United Kingdom. And we are a party that does that best when we are united. And that's a party that will be led by one of our two fantastic candidates that we have seen out on the roads over the last few weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeremy Hunt and Boris Johnson. And ladies and gentlemen, to announce the results of the leadership election, please welcome our returning officers, Dame Cheryl Gillen and Charles Walker.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Can I thank you and your team at Conservative Central Office for doing a fantastic job. It's been a team effort and shown the Conservative family at its best. And if I could make one plea as a backbencher, can we be kinder to the next Prime Minister than we've been to the current Prime Minister? So without further delay, I'm going to hand you over to the wonderful co-chair of the 1922 committee, Dame Cheryl.
Thank you very much, Charles. On the 24th of May, the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Theresa May, announced that she would be standing down as leader of our party on the 7th of June. And over the past 46 days, the 1922 committee organised 5 ballots of members of Parliament and then worked with the party chairman and the electoral reform services to present the final 2 candidates so all qualifying members of the Conservative and Unionist Party could vote for our new leader. I want to echo Charles's thanks to Brandon and in particular to the party board and the party staff for all their sterling work on the hustings, and also the ERS, who have conducted a very professional operation, collecting and counting the votes from home and abroad. And also the 1922 executive, especially my co-chairman, Charles Walker, with whom it has been a pleasure to work, and at least we have brought equality to the top of the 1922 committee. Gender balance is important. And the officers of the 1922 committee, Sir Geoffrey Clifton-Brown, Bob Blackman and Nigel Evans, all together here today, and our own parliamentary staff who have given up their spare time to help conduct what I believe has been a very successful election. Finally, I would like to thank all those party members who voted and those who stood in the election, and particularly my colleagues Jeremy Hunt and Boris Johnson, who, despite the challenges of a contest, run in the glare of press comment and public scrutiny, I believe have emerged as worthy candidates for the position of leader of our party. Now, I think you've all been waiting long enough, but in the honoured tradition, I'm going to ask my beautiful assistant to hand me the envelope for the announcement. It's called teamwork. I, Dame Cheryl Gillen, the Joint Returning Officer for the Conservative and Unionist Party leadership election, declare that the total number of eligible electors was 159,320. The turnout in the election was 87.4%. The total number of ballot papers rejected was 509. And the total number of votes given to each candidate was as follows. Jeremy Hunt, 46,656. Boris Johnson, 92,153. And therefore I give notice that Boris Johnson is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, everybody. Good morning. Okay, right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much, Brandon, for a fantastically well-organised campaign. I think it did a lot of credit, as Brandon has just said, to our party, to our values and to our ideals. But I want to begin by thanking my opponent, Jeremy, by common consent, an absolutely formidable campaigner and a great leader and a great politician. Jeremy, in the course of 20 hustings, 20 hustings or husting-style events, it was more than 3,000 miles, by the way, it was about 7,000 miles that we did crisscrossing the country. You've been friendly, you've been good-natured, you've been a font of excellent ideas, all of which I propose to steal forthwith. And above all, I want to thank our outgoing leader, Theresa May, for her extraordinary service to this party and to this country. It was a privilege. It was a privilege to serve in her cabinet and to see the passion and determination that she brought to the many causes that are her legacy, from equal pay for men and women to tackling the problems of mental health and racial discrimination in the criminal justice system. Thank you, Theresa. Thank you. And I want to thank all of you here today, and obviously everybody in the Conservative Party, for your hard work, for your campaigning, for your public spirit, and obviously for the extraordinary honour and privilege that you have just conferred on me. And I know that there will be people around the place who will question the wisdom of your decision. And there may even be some people here who still wonder quite what they have done. And I would just point out to you that, of course, no one party, no one person has a monopoly of wisdom. But if you look at the history of the last 200 years of this party's existence, you will see that it is we Conservatives who have had the best insights, I think, into human nature, and in the best insights into how to manage the jostling sets of instincts in the human heart. And time and again, it is to us that the people of this country have turned to get that balance right between the instincts to own your own house, your own home, to earn and spend your own money, to look after your own family, good instincts, proper instincts, noble instincts, and the equally noble instinct to share and to give everyone a fair chance in life, and to look after the poorest and the neediest, and to build a great society. And on the whole, in the last 200 years, it is we Conservatives who have understood best how to encourage those instincts to work together in harmony to promote the good of the whole country. And today, at this pivotal moment in our history, we again have to reconcile two sets of instincts, two noble sets of instincts, between the deep desire for friendship and free trade and mutual support in security and defence between Britain and our European partners, and the simultaneous desire, equally deep and heartfelt, for democratic self-government in this country. And of course, there are some people who say that they're irreconcilable, and it just can't be done. And indeed, I read in my Financial Times this morning, devoted reader that I am. Seriously, it's a great British brand. I read in my Financial Times this morning that no incoming leader has ever faced such a daunting set of circumstances, it said. Well, I look at you this morning and I ask myself, do you look daunted? Do you feel daunted? I don't think you look remotely daunted to me. And I think that we know that we can do it, and that the people of this country are trusting in us to do it, and we know that we will do it. And we know the mantra of the campaign that has just gone by. In case you've forgotten it, you probably have. So it is deliver Brexit, unite the country, and defeat Jeremy Corbyn. And that is what we're going to do. We're going to defeat Jeremy Corbyn. And I know some wag has already pointed out that deliver, unite and defeat was not the perfect acronym for an election campaign, since unfortunately it spells dud. But they forgot the final E, my friends. E for energize. And I say to all the doubters, dude, we are going to energize the country. We're going to get Brexit done on October the 31st. We're going to take advantage of all the opportunities that it will bring in a new spirit of can-do. And we are once again going to believe in ourselves and what we can achieve. And like some slumbering giant, we are going to rise and ping off the guy ropes of self-doubt and negativity with better education, better infrastructure, more police, fantastic full fibre broadband sprouting in every household. We are going to unite this amazing country and we are going to take it forward. I thank you all very much for the incredible honour that you have just done me. I will work flat out from now on with my team that I will build, I hope, in the next few days to repay your confidence. But in the meantime, the campaign is over and the work begins. Thank you all very much.
Okay, if you please join us, you're watching live coverage coming to you from London. The Conservative Party in the UK has a new leader. He is Boris Johnson, and he will now take over as Prime Minister tomorrow at the very latest after he meets the Queen, and he is then endorsed as the Prime Minister. This was a contest between the country's Foreign Minister Jeremy Hunt and between Boris Johnson. And as predicted, as expected, as pollsters said, Boris Johnson was a clear favourite. And the results showed that. He has won the election, the leadership contest, and he got just over 92,000 of the votes, whereas his rival Jeremy Hunt got just over 46,000 of the votes.